everyone, welcome to our first lesson of Dari language. Now, Dari language is the same as Persian language and it's the same as Tajiki language. It's spoken in 3 different countries: Iran, Afghanistan, and Tajikistan. I'm just going to refer to the language as Dari language. Now, as you might guess, the first lesson in any language is to learn the alphabet. Yes, it's boring, but hey, you know what? If you learn the alphabet, then you'd be able to read and write, and not just speak. So let's start learning the letters. Now, Dari language has 32 letters, which is just way too many to learn in one shot. So I'm just going to start from the first letter and we'll go until maybe 10 or 11 letters, and then the rest of it will follow up in the next few videos. So make sure you subscribe so you get an update when the new videos are posted. So let's, without further ado, let's move on to our first letter. The first letter in Dari language is the letter Alif. It's a straight line. Not too difficult to remember. Just one straight line, and that's your letter Alif. And the way it's pronounced is A. A. If you have a symbol like this on top at the beginning of any word that starts with the letter Alif, then this changes the sound of it from A to A. A. So without it, it's A. With it, it's A. So there we go. That's your first letter. Now the equivalent of this in English would be your letter A. So let's move it up there. So at the end, you'll have a little tablet or a table of all these letters, Dari letters, and their equivalent letters in English. The next letter is B. Now let's see how this looks like. Looks like a plate with a ball underneath. That's your letter B. And the equivalent of this letter in English would be B. So the way it's pronounced is the same as the letter B. Next is P. Now P is like a plate with 3 balls underneath. That's your letter P. Alif, B, P. And the equivalent of that in Farsi, in English, would be your letter P. Here we go. Looks the same as B with 3 dots underneath. There you go. You got your P. Alif, B, P. Next one is, guess what? T. Didn't look too pretty, so I'm gonna do it again. T. Now, T sounds like the letter T, and it's a nice way to remember how T looks like. So remember T with 2 dots on top. T is like a plate with 2 dots on top. Oops, here we go. That's your letter T, and the equivalent of that, you might guess, would be T. Great, so you got Alif, B, P, T. And the next one, just to make it more complicated, looks exactly like a plate, but 3 dots on top instead of bottom. And this is your letter C. C. And the equivalent sound for that in English would be your letter S. Sometimes C, but mostly S. So Alif, B, P, T, C. Next one. Now this one's going to look a bit more artistic. Like a little mountain top with a big stomach. Ooh, that didn't look too light. That didn't look too nice. So let's try it again. There we go. This is your letter Jim. Jim. And the way it's pronounced in English, or the equivalent of this letter in English, would be J. So let's move that up here. So you have a nice table here at the end. The next letter looks similar to Jim. So a little mountain top with a stomach, and it's the letter Che. The letter Che has, instead of one dot like Jim, this one has 3 dots in its stomach. Che. Ch. Ch. The equivalent of letter of this sound in English would be CH, like China. Ch. Ch. Chinese. Okay, so that's letter Che. Next letter is He. He is the same as Jim and Che in terms of its form, but it doesn't have any dots, so it's easier to remember. He. He. Like hey. Hey, no dots. Hey without any dots. All right. So next one, just to make it more complicated, is Hey. Guess what? Looks the same as Jim, Che, and Hey, but it has a dot on top. And the way it's pronounced is Now we don't have an equivalent of that sound in English, but the closest, the way people would write names that have this letter in English would be with KH, as in Khan. But they would pronounce it as Khan, but it's not really Khan, it's Khan. All right, let's move on to the next letter. Next letter is the letter Dal. And the way it's pronounced is D, D, which is the same as the letter D in English. Now, hey, that kind of looks like Pac-Man. Oh, okay, I'm getting distracted now. Let's go back to the letter. Anyways, you got the point. That's your letter Dal. D, D, D. Okay, now next one is Zal. Yes, looks the same as Dal, but this one has actually a dot on top. Zal. Z. And the way it's pronounced is the same as the letter Zaid in English. Z, Z. Now in Arabic, of course, that wouldn't be pronounced like that. They have the same letter as Zal, and they would call it Dhal, which is very different. But since it's not Arabic, we're gonna pronounce it the way that people in Afghanistan would pronounce this letter, and that is Zay. Zaid, like Zaid. Zal. Z, Z. So here we go. We have an outline or a little table of of letters from Aleph to Zal. In the next video, we'll continue with the rest of the letters. Hope you enjoyed this video. Now, just a tip on how to practice these letters. You just, watch the video, and as you watch each letter, try to write that letter at least for 5 lines. So if you're practicing the letter Bay, for example, and you've got lined paper, try to write that same letter at least 5 lines. Bay, 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 and try to say it as you're practicing writing this. Bay, 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 bay. And then you move on to the next letters. And that way, this is actually a nice practice for you to remember the shape of the letters and the pronunciation of the letters. And hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe so you can be informed of the next few videos that we're going to post, and continue learning this wonderful language. Take care. Bye.